Welcome to another episode of Doubl3Tap. Today we are joined by Welldrop, otherwise known as Long, the founder of Anomaly. How you doing, Long?
Doing great. Excited to be here.
Yeah, there's a ton to unpack today. You guys are busy doing a bunch of stuff in a bunch of different areas, so uh, let's just get into it. But before that, actually, disclaimers out the way. The content in the show is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It's not financial advice. The opinions shared by Alex and I are our own. And we may have investments, or Alex certainly has an investment in Anomaly via Shima. And we may have other investments in some of the assets discussed throughout the show. With that out of the way, Long, what games are you currently playing?
Just casually, I'm playing a lot of old school games these days with my wife. Playing Street Fighter, Street Fighter 2 Turbo. In fact, I taught her how to throw a fireball, and she's having a lot of fun. So that's what I'm kind of doing. And like, I want to play my Switch more and like try and get back the old school games like Marvel vs. Capcom. And I hear there's a new game coming out, so just doing very casual games like that.
I was very excited when the news came out that they're re-releasing Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah, you said you taught her how to throw fireballs. Is your champ? Like, are you playing like what is it called? Like a shoyu?
Oh no, I'm actually I'm a Zangief player. I'm a grappler.
Oh, you're grappler. Okay, nice. Okay, so what is it? Green hand? You just green hand her?
Yeah. She's yeah, I'm giving her a lot of like mercy rounds and stuff, and I don't think she realizes it, so it's kind of fun. I wonder if she's gonna realize that when she hears this podcast now.
Okay, cool. So Long, Anomaly, pretty recently coming on the radar, and you guys are doing a lot of different things. So let's get right into it. So you're clearly building in the Telegram ecosystem, among many other things. What do you think Telegram mini apps are doing well today? What do you think can be improved? What are people missing?
Yeah, definitely. The thing everyone's talking about is user growth. They're definitely growing. We're hearing huge numbers. Some of the big titles, starting from like Notcoin, there's Camster Combat, Catizens. I heard of something called Musk Empire recently. It's all kind of following a similar formula, and it's mostly just tapper games. Very, very simple games that require you to invite other friends to play with you to unlock different bonuses. You get kind of a passive reward. The number goes up as you tap and get passive rewards from multipliers. So it's kind of what they're doing. And then the big thing is just trying to get bigger numbers by inviting friends, and they're really getting viral through these mechanisms.
I'm curious, like, do you think the sweet spot is extremely like casual games in Telegram? Do you think there's a world in which core games will exist on Telegram? Or do you think it's like a little bit more of like top of funnel, where like maybe you'll have these like mini games on Telegram, you can cultivate attention there and then push people to maybe a core native app outside of Telegram?
Yeah, right now top of funnel makes a lot of sense. You're creating really big communities in Telegram already, so you're already having these giant chat channels. People congregate and talk about how to play certain games. These snackable games are something that's very simple to build, easy to play. You don't need a lot of time. I think that also represents a lot of the crypto audience. We've kind of realized a lot of AAA games, like, they don't really get played very often because no one has that much time to play. People are in it for quick investments, earning stuff in passively, and also really quick bite-sized chunks. Like, that's kind of what the Web3 investors like what they're looking for, and it really resonates with them. However, Telegram as a platform, I think we are going to get bigger games. Something from the industry that I'm seeing is that games, web-based games, they're not actually getting very deep. They're actually getting very shallow, in my opinion. Technology like Unreal and Unity, they're not very optimized for a browser. They're not really focused on it, but I do think it's still going to be growing. But that's kind of a limiting factor. No one really considers building out something very gigantic, very high def, high quality, because there's limitations to mobile devices and such. So that's kind of one limiting thing.
Another thing that I'm curious about is a lot of people that are building in Telegram are very much focused on Tom. I'm curious, is your approach to, utilize exclusively Tom? Are you looking at other chains? Why would you be looking kind of across that spectrum? And maybe could you just elaborate a little bit on like what went into that decision process?
Yeah, so everyone's very excited about Ton. It's doing extremely well in the market, and certain games do it really well. Like I take Catizens as one of the best examples of monetization in games. I think they reported on CoinDesk like 10 million users and $10 million in revenue, which is really amazing. Some of the things they incorporate is just a lot of microtransactions and check-ins that require you to spend like Ton, and then that Ton wallet integration directly into Telegram. It makes it very seamless. There are certain hurdles I find that were hard for other developers to get in. Um, one big factor for users is that wallet's not really accessible in certain geolocations. Um, but a lot of people are coming from like crypto with their own wallets from EVM chains such as Ethereum, AVAX, and the Polygon, for example, and they've kind of had a hard time transitioning over. So we at Anomaly have been trying to solve that situation. We still want to crack into the ton space with ton transactions. People with those wallets natively built into Telegram is always like a very easy thing. But also people that don't have access to a wallet, we're creating the infrastructure. So just by having Telegram, you can have your own Web3 abstracted wallet. And I think that's a very interesting thing that we're doing. We're just making this even more accessible for developers coming from their own chains, as well as new Web2 users who don't have a wallet yet. So these are kind of the areas that Anomaly is really focused on.
So something that we've spoken about in the past, but most teams are viewing Telegram as like top of funnel UA. Without putting words in your mouth, I think you're a lot more focused on trying to leverage some of the models and trends we saw in like the 2021 NFT cycle, um, and maybe bring some more of like I guess NFT focused loops to the games and platforms that you're building. I don't know. Could you maybe expand a little bit on how you're viewing that and what you think's lacking and where you're focusing your efforts on right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I personally feel that Telegram mini games are kind of in its infancy. Tap to earn is really a very shallow game build where it doesn't take a lot of time to build. They're primarily just web apps. I wouldn't even call them like fully built games. Like they're fun, but I think of like old school retro games, for example, games you can play a lot more often and enjoy just for not the sake of earning something. I feel like that's kind of the next evolution, and trying to merge the two is kind of what we're focused on. And some of the bigger mechanics is like player progression and stuff like loot in games. You're playing these games, you kind of want to get stuff out of these games. When you're playing an old school game, you're collecting loot, you're trying to get achievements, and NFTs are really kind of what's the best application for this. So we're trying to integrate those type of fun mechanics, making these games a lot more sophisticated and more in depth. Also, with our brand, we want people to realize there's a whole ecosystem of different NFTs that contribute directly for all the time that you've spent in this, and you're rewarded for your time, and you have something tangible to show. This also segues into us being more on chain than other games. We're basically recording the history of all your transactions. When you're progressing in the game, that history is saved on chain. That history can be used for other games. It could be used to identify when you qualify for a new piece of loot, which is an NFT. And also lets you be interoperable with other titles within our ecosystem. And if you're not even in our ecosystem, you can use it for your own games. Like take, for example, like the Blur airdrop, which kind of used your on-chain transaction history for how into the NFT culture you are to reward you for it. And you kind of seed it with an audience. So these are some of the ideas that we need to like pioneer first, so that we pave ways to new types of projects to really build the groundworks for a really sophisticated on-chain ecosystem, and building out a more robust blockchain with Ton and what we're doing with the Anomaly chain.
So when we look at some of the simple NFT games that were like released during the circa of 21, are you guys going to follow the pay to play like NFT staking type mode?
Yeah, we're not being limited to just one type of genre. We have the benefit that we've been through the 2021 cycle. We've seen all these models, and we've seen them kind of hit or miss. So we can definitely adapt certain ideas. One of the things I'm really focused on at the start is just creating a lot of soulbound NFTs for like player progression. You're getting these achievements in these games, and you're on chain. You have a record for this type of stuff. Some of the things you can't do with like these games currently, like Hamster Combat and such, you can brag about your multiplier score and your friends, but you don't really have anything to show other than like a screenshot. Having NFTs to represent like what you do, it just adds a lot to the community element of these games, and that's kind of a vital point of Web3. Just having these NFTs is kind of something that you're proud of. You spend so much time, you have something there, and you kind of resonate around these NFTs, and that's why these NFTs have value. So we're really focused on making that approach. Like we think that's kind of like really where NFTs were always heading. So we just kind of take what we learned in 2021 and apply it on the Telegram side is kind of what we're thinking.
You've spoken a couple times about player identity, and I think it's what you're the way you're approaching the soulbound NFT like on-chain achievements is really interesting. The other sort of facet of like last cycle NFT games that I think is largely unappreciated and will have like a much larger impact on gaming in general is the necessity of like community building. Um, that has historically mostly happened on Discord. I'm curious now that you have like Telegram native games, how does that change? How well is community building facilitated within Telegram the app? Like, is there still a need for Discord? Have you guys done like much experimenting there?
Yeah, so we've been building titles for a long time. We have a Discord of about 80,000 members currently, and those users were seeded over to our Telegram games, and they were using Discord to actually post scores from their games that they've been playing with Anomaly, and that's really cool to see. One of the things that Discord does really well is just kind of section different like holders, seeing like if you hold this NFT, you can participate in the community there. You don't see that much stuff for Telegram on the side yet, but that's something we definitely will be exploring. The ability to create like clans and teams, people that you have camaraderie through owning a similar NFT. So these are some of the really cool techniques that we saw that worked really well in the past 2021 trends in building like NFTs hype. Was just establishing these communities around them. So we'll be doing that with Telegram, but at the same time we'll be also kind of using Telegram to leverage to boost other socials such as our Discord. Another example is like Hamster Combat's YouTube is doing ridiculously well. They're beating up Mr. Beast in number of subscribers now. So there's something about this where Telegram can be used to augment other social platforms. In the long run, Anomaly is going to be kind of very social platform agnostic. We'll be building games where the players are, where the community is. So that's going to be our model. So if there is a lot of Web3 users, a lot of gamers in Discord, we'll be building stuff there. If there's people on like Twitter, on Farcaster, we'll be building stuff for those users specifically.
Yeah, just quick follow-up. Can you elaborate on why you think it's so important to build where the users are?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things that was a challenge for me is like most games in the Web3 space were dApps. And so when you were sharing a dApp link, no one wants to connect these days. There's so much security concerns. Not that Telegram offers a lot more security, but users are easier to click a bot link, open it up, and start seeing things right away. That's why we also helped a lot with like the Web3 abstraction. We don't force you to use your own wallets to make ensure security, but people are very eager to just jump on board something in Telegram that launches all the graphics and everything. You don't have to download; it's already ready to be played directly in Telegram. Everyone in that I've been meeting in these conferences, like GDC and what's another one, Token 2049. Everyone uses Telegram, so it's really quick for me to send over a link and onboard those users in seconds, as opposed to sending a dApp link and kind of having friction. So there's such a big space here that I'm finding really resonating with the Web3 community.
One thing we haven't hit on yet is kind of the AI component here. So, Long, yourself, some of your teammates have kind of mentioned on socials that, refer to Anomaly as an AI gaming platform. Could you maybe just elaborate a little bit on like what it means to be an AI gaming platform? Like I'm sure plenty of people are familiar with leveraging, AI to generate assets for games, art, etc. But curious how you're using it and how you can implement that at like a platform or game design
Yeah,
perspective.
absolutely. So yeah, I think most people just think of like assets being generated. I think being an AI augmented studio, you're kind of open to learning about how this stuff works directly, trying to augment and get to market faster with games through AI. So that's kind of one thing that we're definitely exploring. But the other really more interesting elements are like how do we get different types of game genres because of AI? So the first thing we're doing is like our first game, Dice Stone. We're using ChatGPT and LLM to play against you. Typically, if you're building a game, any type of game, you need AIs all the time. Like even like a game like Marvel vs. Capcom, you play against a computer. You have the computer kind of try out strategies and to play against you. ChatGPT can already do that in certain games, like turn-based games. So it's kind of our approach. It also makes it a lot easier for us to craft AIs like in the long run. I really believe that developers can be crafting AI opponents much more elegantly with AI, and also using that data to train and to create different opponents, tailor specific opponents to players on their specific playstyle. So this is kind of one interesting avenue that we're approaching with Dice Stone. Another approach is integrating AI to customize the game for the player. We're having some sort of mission board system where missions are going to be tailored towards how your player how you're playing these games. What do you like in certain games? Do you like fighting bosses? Maybe you get missions to fight different bosses. Maybe you get more sophisticated bosses because the game kind of knows like what type of opponents you like facing. So those are kind of some ideas that we're toying with. And lastly, there's some other examples I think about, like games like Teamfight Tactics in League of Legends, where it's kind of just an AI versus AI genre that just came out of the blue and kind of took the League of Legends by storm. So these are some of the game modes that were kind of enabled by AI, and then we can really experiment and create really cool new platforms and in-game genres. So these are some of the avenues that we're really exploring with Anomaly.
One thing that I know we've chatted about, but I think would be interesting is like, so ChatGPT, right? If you're leveraging ChatGPT, obviously it's not free. So like, does scaling become a problem? Do you feel like your approach today is the correct scaling approach? Like, how do you think about growing Anomaly as a platform when you have a variety of dice stones that are leveraging AI? Or is it purely like a CAC LTV type of equation, just 3.0, where you're looking at the cost of compute versus, however you're monetizing users on the platform?
Yeah, I've been really thinking about this. Something that's also taking off very adjacent is this cloud computing, cloud gaming, playing and needing servers to allocate so that your device, which may not be a powerful device, can play these games without having the graphics capabilities. And so there's a lot of compute needed. The same thing is with AI gaming right now. Like when we're using ChatGPT for 100,000 players to play it simultaneously, you're seeing 100,000 simultaneous ChatGPT requests at the same time. For a developer right now, ChatGPT is probably one of the best solutions for this. You'll be able to accommodate that scale of users. But if you're hosting your own model, you really have to worry about the server infrastructure, how to spin up enough server bandwidth to accommodate 100,000 players at once is a huge challenge. Not to mention the server costs on that. ChatGPT for like a million calls right now will take you a few $1,000s just to accommodate that. So this is something that is sort of a problem to new developers. If a game suddenly goes viral, they can't really sustain the cost of like the LLMs. So that's something that we're really exploring. We're looking to a lot of deep in type of solutions. So there's a lot of people in the space that we're partnering with. ChatGPT is a great option for us right now, and the way it scales, having dedicated server instances is something that will be eventually accommodating just to have such a large player base.
I'm curious, if for the near or medium term future, the games are continue to be casual on Telegram, and you look at casual free to play and the way in which they monetize through ads and cross promotion, etc. I'm just curious how you think cross promotion will happen, across Telegram because, like you mentioned, you can now share a link and then anybody can hop in. And in Telegram, you have this one-to-many sort of communities within all these group chats, which again makes it very easy to distribute amongst not only those groups, but also people that would be a little bit more trusted than maybe in other parts of the web. So yeah, just curious, like you talked about personalization of quests, but like what about the personalization of cross-promotional content leveraging AI, where you're like just constantly like training that like recommendation model for not just the quests, but also what you're feeding into, the Anomaly platform for each individual user.
Yeah, so what's going on is definitely the questing side. Cross promotions are happening through all these titles. Pretty much a lot of these titles get millions and millions of users, and those millions of users are very valuable to other games. So cross promotion absolutely makes sense. This is kind of something that happened a lot in the early Web 2 game days and in Messenger as well. So we're seeing a resurgence like that before. Something that I think we're doing really well is capturing player data on chain. That's gonna be very valuable because you can now see like who on Anomaly has played 100 games of pinball, so the users can know exactly, or developers can know exactly like which games are like pinball and can therefore recommend to them. This is something that we'll be doing internally within Anomaly for sure in the near future. Advertisements is something that we're already thinking about. That recommendation engine. Eventually, we're currently crafting a game a month right now, and soon to be 2 games a month. By the end of the next year, we'll be having over 15 games. You don't really want to play all the games. You want to just have the top ones recommended to you. And through our on-chain data, this is kind of the perfect segue. We also make this so that anyone who comes to our chain, they can just transparently just try to figure this out themselves out, and try to create their own games that based on what people are liking. It also feeds us an internal loop into what game genres really resonate. So as an Anomaly, we're seeing people play 1X game a lot more. We'll be trying to create more games like that. So we're kind of diversifying right now and trying to figure out what resonates. At the same time, we'll be exploring different partnerships that make sense to us. There's a lot of players coming from the other chains and ecosystems that really want to create games with Anomaly, and we'll be kind of recommending what works really well with their audience, and have an AI-powered solution to really make this faster, that decipher as well. Just want to also add to this, being able to scrape through data really fast to understand what a player likes is something that's very augmented by AI right now. There's a lot of tools like this for different platforms in marketing and advertisements. Applying this to on-chain games absolutely makes sense. So creating that AI layer to do this is definitely something that's up our avenue, and we'll be trying to build.
Cool. I think that just about wraps it up for this episode. Yeah, really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you guys.
The content of this video is intended for informational purposes only and should not be considered as investment advice. The views shared by Alex and I are our own, and we may hold investments in some of the companies or digital assets featured in the video.